Commanderin.
Right to a Commanderin bonus stream. My name is Shivam Putt, and today I'm going to be cracking open a box of Modern Horizons, digging through it and seeing what's going on in there. Maybe talking a little bit about the Commander Advisory Group, answering questions about Commander in general, and just kind of enjoying this nice Wednesday evening. My co-host is currently off editing the video that involves the preview for M20, so I figured I would just enjoy myself this evening and see what it's like to actually try to stream by myself. I've never actually done that before, so this should be fun. Hopefully. And I'm going to put on some royalty-free music in the background so I can enjoy myself a little. It looks like right now we have literally you, Ethan, in chat, which is just fine. That means that you and I can sit and chat a smidge about what it means to play Modern Horizons. Like, hey man, what's up with Hogak? Okay, so now Modern Horizons here has this lovely box with this picture Urza on it, and it looks like they used the Battle Bond unstable style boxing, which is pretty cool. Now, the question I have is it better for me to hold these packs up and crack them, or actually just aim my camera down and point them at the pack? I figure, at the very least, I should open one of them and see what it's like. Oh, weird. So these packs are like built completely different than normal packs are. So actually, I think I am going to just point it downwards. Just a moment. So here we are with my lovely Kaladesh era playmat, and it starts apparently with an emblem of Sarah, because you can't start this set without the first card that revealed, which was of course Sarah. Let's see, there's glare on that, that's weird. Testing this out. Okay, that's a little better. So, here's the deal, right? So these packs were what the hell? There's no rare in this pack? So I had heard that these packs had been built backwards the way that the Battle Bond packs were, with the uncommons and rares in front, but it looks like mine actually was not. So that's pretty cool. The thing is, it's weird to talk about like just the commons and stuff in here, because they're commons, right? How many good commons are there going to be for EDH? However, immediately I get a pacifism reprobation, which is fantastic, because this is like the best flavor win ever. It turns a creature into a 0/1 coward, which is unto itself phenomenal, right? Like, cowards can't block warriors. We know this. Greatest line of text in Magic. And it also has the benefit of being a 0/1, just do nothing on the table. Now, one of the things about Commander that we all know is that destruction is good, exile is better, but leaving your opponent's commander on the table as a dead brick is maybe one of the best possible things you can do. And turning it into a 0/1 coward is almost as good as turning it into a 0/4 tree. I'm a big fan. And then Goblin Champion here, which was the Exalted Haste Goblin, which is kind of sweet, because Exalted, one of my favorite mechanics of all time. And it's really great to just see this show up on colors that it's not expecting. And this has the double benefit of if you've got something like the Goblin Pile Driver churning in, it can get Exalted bonus off of that. It acts as kind of a lord for whatever your next Goblin is, but it also lets it just attack as a 1/2, which is a cute little design trick, which I'm sure they thought about when they did this. Oh, 9 viewers. Hello, everybody. Next, I've got iKite, which is the 1/2 flyer that gets +2/+0 as long as you drew 2 cards this turn, which in EDH is way easier than it is maybe anywhere else in Magic, which is pretty neat. I like this gimmick. When I first saw them talking about it, they're like, yeah, the blue-white gimmick is going to be, draw multiple cards a turn. I was like, that seems really weird. That's like a very specific kind of standard to build. But then I realized when I was sitting there playing a game at EDH at lunch today that almost any color except for white can basically draw multiple cards a turn. And it's almost trivial to do so. Now, you're never going to just play a 1/2 flyer that becomes at best a 3/2, but it's cute to know. And at least if there's other cards in this set that do that, you can totally get away with it. Next, I got Treefolk Umbra. Now, Totem Armor is, next to Exalted, maybe my favorite mechanic in all of Magic. This one is basically, it looks like it was made for somebody's Arcada Sabbath deck or their Doran deck, because it gives a creature +0/+2 and makes them fight with their butt. I decided... Hi, everybody. I decided I wanted to try to just crack some packs and talk about EDH, maybe show off my giant Depala in the background. But I didn't know if it was better for you to look at me or to look at the cards, so I'm just aiming at the cards right now. I mean, it's Magic, right? Like, it can't be that bad. You'll have to forgive me. I haven't actually tried this before, so I'm working it up. So the next one I got, Ransack the Lab, which is actually kind of sweet. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard, which in a zombie deck, I absolutely love. I am a big fan of being able to pitch Gravecrawler, throw them away. And if you saw that, like, all the reanimation stuff you've got going on in Zombieland, it seems pretty fantastic to be able to draw a card and effectively draw 3 cards, really. It's a Black Ancestral Recall. Only, not quite, but you know what I'm talking about. The next one I got, Bellowing Elk. It's this 4/2 that becomes indestructible until end of turn. Yeah, you're not playing that. You could do better than that. Come on. The 6/3 Black Ninjutsu creature. I don't know that I would ever play that one either, because the bar for a vanilla card in EDH is so high. Even with Ninjutsu, there's better things you could be doing, right? Like you could be, you could put it into like a Yuriko deck or something, but you don't want to do that. This one actually I found really interesting. Volatile Claws. Creatures get +2/+0 and gain all creature types. That feels like it's a reprint from like Lorwyn or something, but I don't know if it was offhand. However, being able to get a ton of tribal synergies and stuff, and if you've got like Coat of Arms in play, suddenly all of your creatures get significantly bigger. And actually, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Coat of Arms and Changeling is kind of intensely absurd. This, though, has to be one of my favorite cards of this set. Defile, which is the 1 mana instant that gives creatures -1/-1 for each swamp you control. Everybody who's playing swamps has an Urborg in their deck. That means that you're going to be hitting something for like -17. It's gross, and I love it. Like, for 1 mana instant, being able to just wipe anything is kind of amazing. This ninja I would play, though. Unblocked ninjas you control have lifelink, because unblocked creatures is one of my favorite things. Like, being able to find a way to give them all menace or give them all some other kind of evasion so they can get in, and then just get a ton of life back is kind of what my jam is. Farmstead Gleaner. The like one and only untapped card printed in the past like decade. 2 and untapped to put a +1/+1 on it seems kind of lame. I'm sure you can combo it. I'm sure you can do tricky things with it in EDH, but I'm not that guy. And I don't know how to make this go infinite. And so I would probably rather play with something like Pilipala. Ooh. Oh, the Hideaway dude. This is exciting. Hideaway is like one of the coolest little mechanics for the 2/1 who lets you exile a card and put it into your owner's hand once this thing dies. I have a feeling there's ways to use this in EDH that'll be fun. I don't know them yet, but it could work in like an Inala deck or a cast deck or something. And then my rare for this one, the very friendly Cordial Vampire. This guy is going to go into all of your Edgar Markov decks. He's going to go into all your vampire decks. It seems almost just like when Cordial Vampire or another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Actually, I like this a lot in even Aristocrat style builds. I was thinking about putting this into Slimefoot, but it would be the only thing that gets bigger. But I have a feeling that there are Aristocrats decks you can get away with this card. And then my foil is a Ball Lightning, whatever, it's a Ball Lightning. And of course, Titus Lunter's beautiful Snow Covered. And Mirrodin Besieged. This set is interesting. I haven't actually opened any of the packs yet until literally today. So it's neat to see them in like kind of in their environment, the way they're supposed to be, as opposed to just spoilers. But it seems like for everything that's amazing in this about EDH, there's plenty of cards like Hogak that make me just wonder how, like, is that any good? Is it going to be any good? Well, I guess we'll have to find out. Let's open another pack. They have foil tokens in this set. I didn't know that. That's kind of amazing. Now, I play zombies. I love zombies. Zombies are basically... The first deck I built in EDH was a zombie deck. Grimgrin, because Grimgrin's what got me into EDH in the first place. So I'm super stoked to try to collect as many of these foil zombies as I can to go with the amazing foil Innistrad tokens that had come out for, I don't know, whatever the game day was. But let's see what else there is. So, the first card here is the Cycler Quakefoot Cyclops, which it's cool, right? Like, 2 target creatures can't block when it comes to play, or you can cycle and force something to not block. I think if you try to build like an Astral Slide or a Lightning, whatever that Lightning deck was from the last time cycling was around, Lightning Rift? I don't remember. But you could, it could be there, or maybe with like Amonkhet block stuff. But you could probably do better. Now this one though, Snuff Out, aside from having one of the coolest arts on a counterspell, it's cancel level, so you could play it, but I really actually like that Fateful Hour, which is if you have 5 or less life, draw a card. Countering a spell and drawing a card is pretty sweet. Now, in EDH, how many counterspells are you realistically going to play? Like, maybe in my blue decks, I've got like 1 or 2 tops, but it seems like it's a cute idea, at least, and definitely in my more casual EDH decks, I would probably put this in instead of just generic counterspell, just because I like the artwork a lot. Here's the most worthless card there is for EDH. Trustworthy Scout. Exile it from your graveyard. Find another card named Trustworthy Scout. Yeah, you know what I'm not going to do? That. Here's a Goblin Exalted guy and a Hasty Zombie. Rhyme Tender. Okay, this is kind of sweet. This is like the Snow Arbor Elf, which is untap target snow permanent. I wish there was a way in this set that you could get away with making a card snow. if you could make a creature snow, then that would make it so much better to have all these untapped target snow permanent things. But otherwise, this is still pretty cool with things like the snow lands or the snow mocks or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I think that there's room for growth there. There's room for use. But then I've got the Azra Smoke Shaper. Azra Smoke Shaper, the 3/3 ninja, that when it comes into play, gives one of your creatures indestructible. I like this because the idea of having ninjutsu on Battle Bond land is really cool. Like, I like that they went out of their way to get other creatures like Azra and whatever and have them show up. Mother Bear. This is the Ethanest card ever, and I friggin' love it. It tells a super sad story of the bear dying and getting 2 bears, but also in EDH, you never want to play a 2/2 for 2, but getting a 3 2/2s for 2 after, coming out of the graveyard, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, I feel like there's ways to combo off with this. Like if you've got Doubling Season, if you've got those doublers, you can sit there, exile it, and get 4 bears, which is pretty delightful. Let's see. Prohibit. A kicker counterspell? You're not going to play that. Ooh. Now, here's the thing. Buyback in EDH is gross. Buyback on a giant growthy type effect is also gross. For 5 mana, you can give something +2/+2, get this back in your hand. And if you've got something like a Mana Flare type of ability, you can get away with just mega pumping something. I feel like this card has ability to be abused in kind of casual mana heavy decks, but who knows? We'll see. Continuing on the Treasure Mage cycle, here's Tribute Mage. It gets artifacts with converted mana cost 2. Now, I would probably play this in like a Brea deck as a Healy deck, but you got to sit there and go what is worth 2? Grim Monolith costs 2. I'm sure that there's other Mono Rocks you can get for 2. You could get there's a lot of those random artifacts that discount other artifacts that only cost 2. I feel like this card has utility, and if you build around it, you can kind of get away with it. Ooh. Okay, so this is Soul Herder. Soul Herder is the best art in the set. Let's just be real for a second. Seb McKinnon built this card, and this card is maybe one of the biggest mismatches I think there is in terms of art and ability. It's a blue-white card. That artwork does not look blue-white to me. That looks like death has come and everybody is running and the world is going to end. This does not look like blue-white, which is like, Geist of Saint-Traft, I'm going to help you. But the card is bananas good unto itself. Creature is exiled from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 on Soul Herder. And at the beginning of your end step, you can exile another creature you control and bounce it back to your hand. So I can totally see this in a Brago deck or any kind of deck that wants to have bouncing. It seems really fun, actually. Oh, I actually wanted this card. Okay, this is sick. So I got Nantuko Cultivator, which is discard any number of land cards, put that many +1/+1 counters on Nantuko Cultivator, and draw that many cards. Now, my favorite deck is Titania. Titania is all about getting lands into the graveyard, generally from play, so you can get 5/3, elementals and whatnot. However, being able to pitch them from your hand, because you've got so many ramp cards, bringing all these lands to your hand, and then just, use Nissa's Reclamation or whatever to get them out of the yard later, or your Crucible of Worlds or what have you, and then draw that many cards. This is like going slam into my deck right now, because it's also going to become huge. I don't know, this card seems great, and it seems really gross in cards like Gitrog, where Gitrog says if a land goes to the yard from anywhere, then you draw a card, and because it would be going from your hand, that just seems disgusting. This card is a secret big deal, I think. I think it's going to see a lot more play than people give it credit for. The rare in this set was the Crasher Rhinos. Suspend to get 2 4/4s. Play with Doubling Season, get 4 4/4s. I don't know, I'm going to test it out in like a green value deck. It seems like it could be fun. Snow-covered island, everybody likes them. But the art card is the one card I actually want from this set, which is the Sword of Sinew and Steel. which is super gross. That's I think the black and red one that kills a planeswalker or something like that. Who cares? I want all 5 swords. That's just what I want. I'm actually thinking about using the art cards as proxies, but that feels kind of cheaty. Incidentally, folks, if you guys do have any questions about the CAG or EDH or rules questions or anything like that, feel free to hit me up because I'm here and I'm happy to answer it. And it feels like I'm more responsive than most of the people on the CAG. So it's kind of fun. It also means I get in a lot more trouble. Yeah, it's like super silly. Everybody else has figured out the trick is to not actually just talk all the time, but that's not me. All right, so lava dart. Do one, pitch a mountain, do another one. You're never playing this in EDH. You can use gut shot, or you can use, I don't know. Why would you ever want to do just 1 damage with 1 card in EDH? That's just not going to happen. However, Chain Unsummon seems like a card that you totally could see in EDH. I feel like there's plenty of ways to combo off of this thing, String of Disappearances, which is bounce a card to its owner's hand, and then that creature's controller can pay 2, and if they do, they copy that spell and choose another target for that copy. When I was a kid, I had Chain Lightning because we cracked some Legends packs. And Chain Lightning said something like for every point of damage, they could pay 2 red to do another 3, to copy Chain Lightning. And so we thought, oh, it does 3 points of damage. So I'm going to pay 6 mana and shoot you for 3 Chain Lightnings worth. And it got kind of ridiculous. We didn't realize that it was only just copy once because Legends cards are ambiguous. Okay. This card, tell me if I'm dumb or not. Answered Prayers, this card seems really, really good. When a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life, and it becomes a 3/3 with flying until the end of turn. One of my favorite cards from the Amonkhet Kaladesh Standard Series was that card that forced all their cards to come into play tapped and gave you a life for every creature every time you cast a creature. And I feel like this also just incidental life gain in an Orzhov type deck seems really, really good. I'm going to put this in there just because I want Crested Sunmare to go off and get more ponies. Let's see. Reckless Charge, +3/+0 and Flashback. Yeah, you're not going to play it. Dude, this is one of my favorite play mats. The only other mat I like more than this one is my Elspeth Crusade mat. Let's see here. First Spear Gargantua. I don't know where the first Spear is, but this guy seems really mean because he comes into play. For 6 for a 5/4 seems a lot for EDH. You draw a card and lose a life, which is fine, and it's got Unearth, which is actually pretty good. So I'm sure there are ways to abuse this, but it seems like you could be doing better. Oh, this is a card I actually wanted. Winding Way, which is a mini, what the hell is it? Allurin? Not Allurin, but that one card that lets you choose creature or non-creature and draw them off the top of your hand, creature or land. But reveal the top 4 cards and put all of the cards of the chosen type into your hand and the rest into the graveyard. Again, fantastic for Gitrog, fantastic for Titania. I think this card might actually be really fun to play. Let's see, Wart Eye Witch. This guy is a 3/2. When it or another creature you control dies, scry 1. So that's kind of like Viscera Seer, except better because it's also when this guy dies. So that means that you can use it in your Aristocrats build, even as just a duplicate Viscera Seer. I've had Aristocrats on the brain lately because I built this amazing Slimefoot Aristocrats deck. So I've just been thinking in that vein a lot. Nimble Mongoose. It was great then, not great now. Trumpeting Herd, 3/3 with Rebound. You can do better. You can just do better. Now this one though, Gilded Light, which you gain Shroud until end of turn and cycling. I am on the fence about this card because it could be great. It could be like a good way to get out of jail free with cycling. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I don't know about that. My Slimefoot list was built based off of the list that Commander's Quarters put on YouTube, but then I went and I modified it and added some extra expensive cards into it. I will put a list onto deck stats a little bit later when I'm happy with how it is, but the Commander's Quarter videos are fantastic for budget EDH. It's like $25 to build that. It's just absolutely wonderful. Oh, this is the Brian David Marshall Invitational Rot Widow pack, which is the 2/4 with reach that when you pay 5, exile a creature from your yard and create a 1/2 green spider with reach, and then each opponent loses a life for each spider you control. Like, I vaguely wanted to build Ishkana, but now I really want to build Ishkana. This is maybe one of the most intriguing cards in all of this set, Splicer's Skill, which is the create a 3/3 golem, but splice onto instant or arcane. I think somebody mentioned splicing this onto a storm card and seeing what happens, and then you get like 12 million 3/3 golems, and I think that's going to be super fun. I really hope that they bring splice back as splice onto instant arcane for good, because I think that's really fantastic. Here's the Gavin Verhey Invitational, Throws of Chaos, Cascade, Rebound, Retrace. I am playing this. I am putting this into Yidris. I think this is going to be fantastic. This is maybe one of the secret funnest Chaos cards they've printed in a long, long time. Scrapyard Recombiner. Modular 2, and sack an artifact to search your library for a construct card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your library. Now, you have to think about what is a construct. Like, what counts as a construct in Magic? That's like all your arc lights and your things like that. And this feels more like a modern plant than something you could use in like a Saheeli. I would still try, but I don't know about it. I'm kind of okay with it. There's a forest, a shapeshifter token with a bear token on the back, and then the fantastic Jason Rainville art for the Mind Twisty ability. Pretty cool. Is this video working for you guys? Do you want me to do something different? Do you want to be looking at me, or do you want to be looking at the cards? Help me out. All right, so let's crack another pack. Oh, wow. Chiller Pillar. I want to play this in Limited. I don't know if it's going to be any good in EDH. I don't think it's going to be any good in EDH. Monstrosity 2 for a 3/3. And it gets flying when it's monstrous, but it's a cute card that I like a lot. Answered Prayers we already talked about. Goblin War Party. Make 3/3 1/1 tokens, or a creature you control gain +1/+1 a haste till end of turn. I actually like this card a lot. This card seems really, really good in a go wide type of deck. Especially with the Entwine, you can throw some extra tokens out there with your Coat of Arms, with your Lords and stuff, and just kind of go crazy. Phantom Ninja 2/2 can't be blocked. You're going to play it in your Ninja deck. You know what it is. Unearth. This is, I think, also a reprint. Return target creature with converted mana cost 3 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, the cards are going to be hard to read. I can't do much about the glare, and the focus on the camera is weird, but I'm trying. Yeah, Winding Way, we talked about. Trumping Herd, we talked about. Gilded. Aha. Magmatic Sinkhole. This is the 5 and a red Delve card that does 5 to a planeswalker or a creature. It's not a sinkhole. Sinkholes pay 2 black and destroy target land. Paying 5 to destroy target creature, I mean, single target removal in EDH is not good. Like, Swords to Plowshares is one thing, Path to Exile is one thing, but doing single target red damage, you could be using that mana much better, much more effectively. just don't do it. You're setting yourself up for sadness. Amorphous Axe. It's +3/+0. Everything gets changeling. Unless you're playing like an equipments deck, I don't know that I would play that. I mean, yeah. Now these though, the talismans. I am so glad we got the enemy cycle of talismans here. That tap to do a damage to you, that give you one of whatever's. Because they're 2 mana mono rocks. The damage to you is real. And especially in a world where we have signets and where we have all the other ones, it's kind of rough. But at the same time, you can always use more mono rocks. And I think that there are certain builds of EDH that definitely are going to get use out of these talismans a lot. Beast Within and Rapid Hybridization Pongify was asked in chat. Those cards are actually really, really good because they have a way of handling cards in colors that don't get the chance to handle them. Like green being able to turn something into a beast and get rid of their Ulamog or whatever, fantastic. Rapid Hybridization and Pongify are cards that make me really, they're really good. They're really useful for blue. I think though in red, you don't want to be using single target removal. Red, you can just be wiping the board. Much better. And plus, this costs 6. So even with Delve, no. Ravenous Giant. So this is Juzam Jin, except in red. That means it's a 5/5 that deals 1 damage to you at the beginning of your upkeep. Again, you're not going to play this in EDH because 5/5s with downside, really not worth your time. However, I apologize for that. I normally hate it when people eat or drink, and then of course I go and slurp onto the microphone. I am ashamed. But yeah, so the thing is, Juzam Jin is like my golden goose card. When I had started playing in Magic in 1994 or 5, one of my friends played one, and this was his opening turn, let me tell you. It was a swamp, dark ritual, Juzam Jin, go. And then I'm sitting there like, island? And he's like, okay, well then I hit you for 5, and then I, berserk it. Well, let's see, how did it work? Okay, so it wasn't a swamp, it was actually a badland, so because he had the red and red. And then it was a taiga. And so he hits me for 5. I don't know, somehow he managed to berserk and fork it to kill me. From 20 to 0 with 1 Juzam Jin. And I have always wanted that card ever since, but it costs like $8 trillion. So instead, I'm looking at Ravenous Giant. Ooh. Frostwalk Bastion. This is the creature land, the snow creature land, that for 1 in the snow becomes a 2/3 construct artifact creature that's still land. And when it deals damage, it freezes something. I actually love this card. Like, freeze is one of my favorite abilities just in Magic, just because it goes like, being able to just freeze something, tap it out is fantastic. There's like, let's see here. Sorry, I just wanted to change my music up a bit. No, I was not a noted Super Spike then. I am not a noted Super Spike now. I love freezing cards. Being able to tap them out and not let them untap for a turn is just delicious, because it means that I can get another extra turn to go and do things. So here's a card that has caused some amount of controversy. Hex Drinker. 1 mana for a 2/1 that has level up, that after you pump 8 mana into it, can become a 6/6 protection from everything. I would be very hesitant to play this card without being able to pump it up either all the way up or at the minimum up to level 3 where it's got protection from instants. Because just a creature with no evasion that's just a 1/1 on an EDH table is just going to get crushed. Like, this is a modern card. It's not really an EDH card, but I'd be really interested to see if somebody could do something with it. Then I got a Snow-Covered Forest. I got a Seb McKinnon something, and a Goblin Spider. Once again, welcome to the Commanderin bonus stream. The Commanderin bonus stream starring me, Shivam. Just hanging out, answering questions, and cracking packs the way we ought to do. Don't let Marshall know I did this. He will kill me. Let's move these older cards out of the way. How are y'all doing tonight? Puppet strings. I don't know what puppet strings does off the top of my head. So next I got Phantasmal Force, which is until the end of turn, up to 2 target creatures basically become phantasmal images, which are like the, not images, but the phantom monsters from Alpha. They become 3/3 flyer blue illusions, and then I get to draw a card. I actually like this card. I think this is kind of cute. It's nostalgic. Getting to turn 2 cards into 3/3s is pretty cool. I think it's kind of fun. I don't know if I would use it in EDH deck unless I had a very special reason to do it, but maybe in like a Paupery type of deck. Vyashna Sand Sprinter, it's a ball lightning we already talked about. Scour all possibilities. 1 in a blue to scry 2 and draw a card and then flashback for 5. This card I think you might actually want to play in EDH. Scry is super powerful. Flashing back and scrying is also powerful. I don't know if it's worth a card to be able to just look at 3 down, but it might be. It could be cool. Oh, this is a card I actually wanted. This is like Stirring Address. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, or you can overload it to give your whole team +2/+2, which in my soldiers deck seems pretty great. Just to be able to sit there and like pound them out and just make your guys super big for that alpha strike. Okay. Changeling Outcast. Changeling Outcast can't be blocked or block anything for a 1/1. There was a card that had come out a long time ago, which was that 1/1 zombie thing that could just sit there and attack it and couldn't be blocked and just got in. This is so good for things like Raid, for things like enabling Bloodthirst or any of these other abilities. I actually like this card a lot, and I would totally use it in EDH deck, especially if you're running something with like those kind of mechanics. Bellowing Elk, I talked about, you're not going to play. Shenanigans. Shenanigans destroys 1 artifact, dredge 1. Now, aside from the actual name value, Shenanigans, you are not going to play Shenanigans. Destroying 1 artifact, even with the replayability of dredge, is not a good idea. You know, it's just in a setting where you've got Shatterstorm or Shattering Spree or things that hit multiple artifacts at once. It seems like just a bad deal to only do it to 1 thing. Let's see. Savage Swipe. Target creature gets +2/+2. If its power is 2, then it fights target creature you don't control. For all you guys playing your Muruganda Petroglyphs deck, great. The rest of us are never going to use this. Volatile Claws we talked about. Defile we talked about. Thundering Djinn. Flying for a 3/4 that when it attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn. Now, I don't know about you, but if you're playing with a Consecrated Sphinx or anything that lets you draw a Gillian cards, this thing is going to be hitting like a truck. It's gross. This card is going to be fantastic in like those kinds of who's the Theros god that was red-blue? Keranos. It'd be good in a Keranos deck. It'd be good in the Insect God or whatever his name was, the Locust God. I think this card has actually got a lot of utility that people aren't thinking about. Oh yeah, the Sling Gang Lieutenant. I love this dude. This is the enters the battlefield, get 2 1/1 tokens, sacrifice a goblin, target player loses a life, and you gain a life. Instant aristocrats, but also just pitching creatures, getting value out of them, especially in a goblins deck. If you're playing with Krenko in the 99 or something like that, and you're just churning out goblins, you can take out a table with this guy real quickly. And if you're playing in this and you have something like Teysa, where you can duplicate the effect, that's just gross. Talisman of Conviction, you're going to play it. Oh, yes. Thank you, Ethan, for giving us these new Horizon Canopy lands. I am so excited, especially since I'm building an Orzhov deck right now. The artwork on these is all fantastic. If you can, you're almost certainly going to play them all, because getting to draw cards is just always good. Island, Foily Elemental, and a Sliver. Yeah, Niv Mizzet would definitely love that card. I don't know. I think that there's a lot of things to like in this set. My derpy boy Ikite. You're not going to play him. This one, though. I am thinking very heavily about putting this guy into my Soldiers EDH deck. Martyr's Soul, the Convoke 3/2. And when it enters the battlefield, if you control no tapped lands, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. Getting a 5/4 that you can convoke out seems really great. And my Soldiers deck, look, it's not going to win any awards. It's not going to win any games, but it does what it does really nicely. And it's fun to see that sort of thing. The Lava Dart, Chain Lightning, Vanilla Ninja, Frostwalla. So when I first saw the Root Walla and everything like that, it tripped me out because in Gujarati and in Hindi, the languages I speak, Walla means person who does something. So like when you see like, I don't know, Lumberwalla, that means he's a guy who works with lumber. So I see Frostwalla, I'm like a guy who works with frost. You pay a snow, you get +2/+2. You're not going to play it, but it's cute. Amorphous Axe, we talked about. Igneous Elemental. This is a 4/3 for 6 that costs 2 less if you have a land in your graveyard. When it enters the battlefield, you may have it deal 2 damage to target creature. So it's kind of like an FTK. This is kind of great. Like, I could see this being used maybe in a Windgrace deck, maybe in Angry Omnath deck. Maybe. I mean, there's better things you could be doing, but at least there's a place for it. I don't know. If you're playing of a certain budget level, I think this could be real fun. Prohibit we talked about. Buyback we talked about. Tranquil Thicket. Cycling Land. Play them. Always. Always play the Cycling Lands whenever you can. Oh. Etchings of the Chosen. I like this card a lot. The 1 Orzhov enchantment. Choose a creature type. Creatures that control of chosen type get +1/+1. Sack a creature. Target creature you control gains indestructible until end of turn. It's good in any kind of Orzhov deck. Like if you're playing spirits or something, pump up all your team. If you're playing vampires, if you're playing zombies even. And sack a creature to get indestructible is fantastic because it's a sack engine. You always want those. Here's a card I can actually actively see somebody playing. Scale Up. It turns something into a crawworm, or you could play Overload to turn your team into crawworms. It doesn't give trample, which makes me real sad, but I think you could get away with playing this card in EDH. Zombie Squirrel. The hell is this? An Excavating Anurid, a Snow-Covered Forest, and then Kaya's Guile. I don't know why Kaya is getting all the cards these days, but it's cool that she got an Orzhov Charm. Well, it forces everybody to either sack a creature, exile all creatures from each opponent's graveyard, create a 1/1 spirit with flying, or gain 4 life, and then entwine to do basically all 4. This card is fantastic, and it's going to... I mean, I would say that it's not going to be a staple necessarily, but I would be real surprised to not see a ton of them going forward. It's nice to just be playing some classical music in the background. Thank you all for joining me this evening. I know it's late, but I figure I'll just open a couple more packs and then we can call it a night because it is a Wednesday. Finally, my first sliver. How did I get through like 6 packs or something and not get a sliver? Enduring Sliver has Outlast. Outlast is fantastic. You pay 2, tap it as a sorcery, and give +1/+1 to this creature. I've wanted to build an Abzan deck with Outlast for a long time, but I think Outlast is almost too slow for EDH. It seems nice, but it also seems just kind of like... It seems real challenging. Oh, whoa, that got worse. Hang on, I'm going to be adjusting the light a smidge to see if I can make it a little better. It's a white card though, so it's going to just show up poorly anyways. Sorry about that. Fists of Flame. The comic book card starring Jared Carthalion. Fire husband, my faithful companion. Draw a card. Until the end of turn, target creature gets trample and +1/+0 for each card you've drawn this turn. In red, that seems really poor. In Is It, that seems like you could potentially kill someone. It seems really silly, but I don't know that I would play a combat trick unless I had a really, really good reason. Let's see. Twin Silk Spider, it's a 1/2 for reach that comes in with another 1/2 for reach. I love cards that bring friends, but just a couple of 1/2s, not that great unless you're playing Ishkana or you're in that spider spawning type of deck. Umezawa's Jite, 1 activation, cute. Like, I love this. This is actually the realest version of playing Jite, because you get 1 activation and then your neighbor is going to disenchant it. So it's never going to be more than Umezawa's Charm anyways. +2/+2, -1/-1, or gain 2 life. I mean, what you want? One of the best cards of all time. You're never going to play just the one-off instant. However, this dude, I am definitely very, very curious to see. Rank Officer. It's a 2/2 zombie, or 3/1 zombie rather, that when it comes into play, you can discard a card, and if you do, you make a 2/2 black zombie, which is fine. But the trick is a repeatable ability, which is for 1 and a black, exile a creature card from your graveyard, gain 2 life. Now, let me read that again. 1 and a black, tap, exile a creature from your graveyard, each opponent loses 2 life. In a zombie deck, you're going to have so many zombies in the yard. Eat them. Kill your opponent. Life is good. So it turns out what it was needed to make Ponder fair was to make it cost 5 mana and put it onto a 3/4. You're not playing that card. Arkham's Astrolabe, on the other hand, you may well play. For the snow mana, to play it, enter the battlefield, draw a card, pay 1 and tap to filter any of your mana into being a snow mana. This card is great if you're planning on playing a snow deck of any kind. I actually like this a lot. I actually like this card a lot. Spring Bloom Druid. This is the card I actually really wanted from this set. This is the Harrow on a Stick. This guy in Titania is disgusting, because Titania wants you to sacrifice lands. This lets you sack lands and get 2 more basic lands. So you sack them, and then you enable your landfall triggers. Life is good. Oh, this card. So this was one I actually want to talk about. Geomancer's Gambit. 2 and a red. Destroy target land. Its opponent searches their library for a basic land, puts it on the battlefield, and then shuffles their library, and you draw a card. Now, the official reading of that card is, oh yeah, I'm going to kill your, I'm going to go and blow up your Gaia's Cradle or whatever, and then force you to pull out a mountain. Or, if you're like me, you're going to go in there and then destroy your own land, and then get another basic so you can trigger both pitching lands away and getting your landfall triggers and draw a card. I love it. Shapeshifter. 2 and 2 white for a 2/2 that brings a 2/2. Both of all things, this is a limited card. I could see you using it in this, especially with, I don't know, something like Anointed Procession. But why? Alpine Guide. The Trick Jarrett Invitational, which is when it comes into play, search your library for mountain, put it into play. It attacks if combated Fable as a 3/3, and when it leaves a play, sack a mountain. So, y'all know the trick about this card, which is to go and fetch a dual land and then pitch a basic mountain. I mean, it's pretty great. Land Rampant Red is rare, and I can see that card finding actual play in EDH sometimes. Next, Dismantling Blow. Destroy an artifact or enchantment and then draw 2 cards if you kicked it. Paying 3 to destroy 1 artifact or enchantment? No. Even with the paying 3 to draw 2 cards? No. You can... Easier ways to draw 2 cards, easier ways to destroy enchantments. Don't do it. Okay, this pack paid off because here's Goblin Matron. Goblin Matron is great. She is just like, search your library, get the goblin out, tutor for it, put it into your hand. If you're playing a goblin deck, you want one. You wanted one then, you want one now. Let's see, Snow-Covered Swamp, Ninja, and then a Soldier Rhino. But the rare, let's talk about it. Finally, I got a commander. Sisay. Let me read Sisay to you for those sitting at home. For 2 and a white for a 2/2, Sisay gets +1/+1 for each color among legendary permanents you control. For Wooburg, search your library for a legendary permanent card with mana less than her power. Put that card into the battlefield and then shuffle your library. So, this card is the ultimate Weatherlight, ultimate legendary matters rare, right? Like, this is fantastic. I mean, it's a 2/2. You can pump it up with like artificial pumping or with putting counters on it or whatever. But like, you put it into your Arvad deck, or not into your Arvad, but you put Arvad into this deck to pump up all your legends. You can make a totally awesome Legends Matter deck. And because it says legendary permanent, you can get all of your, like, I don't know, your Mox or your Weatherlight or Jite even. I don't know, this card seems to have, like, it's going to be a staple for EDH. It's going to be one of the core just cards going forward for 5-color madness. I think this is going to be my last pack for the night. But thank you all for joining me today. So this is Soul Strike Technique. Let's see. The art is a person basically doing a Hadouken. It gives target creature +1, enchanted creature +1/+1 and vigilance. And when enchanted creature dies, manifest the top card of your library. I love this. I would probably I would try to play it in my Enchantress deck, just because manifesting cards is one of my favorite mechanics. You take it over, and if it's a creature or something, you can pay its casting cost and flip it back over again. It acts just like a morph. I don't know, this is cute. I don't know if it's strong enough for working EDH, but I would definitely try. Lava Dart, whatever. Diabolic Edict. Target player sacrifices a creature. Edict effects in EDH suck. Giving them a choice is bad. Targeting only one person is bad. Sacrifice a creature. Okay, well, let's see. You got Emrakul and you got a random plant token. I guess we're going to lose a plant token. You could do better. Don't. Twin Silk Spider, Extra Lab, the Druid, the Gambit Cohort. 1/3, Death Touch Scorpion. If you want it, you know what you want with it. You're never going to play this in EDH. There's plenty of better ways to get Death Touch. Ooh. This is actually interesting. Orcish Hellraiser for 1 and a red for a 3/2. And it's got an echo cost of 1. And then when you play it, it does... Oh, when it dies, it does 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. So this is a cool card, right? So like, you put it into play for 2, do 3 points of damage, and then eventually just punt him in the face for 2. That's kind of cool. But is it strong enough for EDH for just target player or planeswalker? Maybe not, but it's kind of neat. Hey, look, Wing Shards. You've got 38 of them from the pre-con. Here's your 39th copy. Lonely Sandbar. Play it. Look. It's the way to actually make Sliver combo. Scuttling Sliver. 2/2 for 3. Slivers you control have +2, pay 2 to untap this creature. I actually think this is kind of sick. If you've got the mana to be able to get away with it, you can do some pretty dumb things with this. this card, the Is It Collective Company. They even called it Collective Conjuring just to make sure you understood. Exile the top 6 of your library. You can cast up to 2 sorcery cards with converted mana cost 3 or less from among them without paying their mana cost. Put exiled cards not cast this way on the bottom of your library in the random order. Now, a couple of things to note about this. It says sorceries. So you better have 2 sorceries in the top 6 to get value out of this. I don't know. Collected Company itself doesn't see EDH play. I don't know if this guy would. It seems too expensive and too situational, and if you want to be casting a ton of spells, there are a ton of better ways to be doing it. Snow-covered plains, lightning scaly boy, and foily goblin. All right. Okay, guys, that was really fun. Thank you so much for joining me tonight to crack like a fourth of a box of Modern Horizons. But I think it's time for us to call it a night here. I'm probably going to save the rest of these and crack them again on a stream later. Just a note, we do stream our podcast every Wednesday at 9 o'clock on the commanderin.mtg Twitch channel. And I'll start putting up links to that on my Twitter feeds as we go. But this is cool, and I really enjoy streaming. I really wish I had more time to do this. But in the meantime, though, thank you all for joining me, and I hope you all have a good night.